right, guys, got a special guest for you here today. This is a good friend and partner of mine. Tyler Albrecht has been a realtor and real estate investor here for several years now, and I got to watch him go from, hey, I think I'm going to get into real estate, to now cash flowing several $100,000, has a multi-million-dollar real estate portfolio. He does short-term rentals, he does long-term rentals, and he sells real estate. So, Tyler, first of all, talk to us a little bit about the housing market right now, because it's on a lot of people's minds. Like, what's the current state of the housing market? Is it a mistake to get in right now? Is there like amazing opportunities? Tell us about it.
So, since the beginning of the year, as I'm sure you know, interest rates have risen from 3% all the way up to 5%, sometimes 5.5%.
Which means that the same house now costs more per month to buy. Is that right?
Correct. Okay. And people trying to buy a house have less buying power. So maybe you could afford a $200,000 house when the interest rates were at 3%, and now they're at 5%. You might be only afford a $185,000 house. So we've seen the market slow down a little bit here, and we're in Acadiana, Lafayette, Louisiana. It's cooled off a bit, but it's still at extremely high pace. It's still a seller's market. We're still getting multiple offers at and above list price on several properties. There are some properties now that you see sitting a couple of days, maybe a week or two, but
well, that's still pretty quick compared
still,
to like an average, like pre-pandemic. It's still
very fast.
So, do you think the housing market crash is coming?
I don't know. No one can foresee the future. It could, with interest rates rising, maybe less people stop buying as much. It could happen, but I'm really not worried about it personally, because there's opportunity in any market.
Gotcha. And if you whenever you go to buy a property, do you flip houses, or do you tend to hold them for a while?
I flipped one house, and it was a lot of work, and I learned a lot of tough lessons. You would say in real estate, you don't make mistakes. You learn expensive lessons. We didn't learn expensive lessons on this one, but we kind of just broke even. I didn't love the idea of flipping it. We put a lot of time, energy, a lot of money into this property, and then to sell it and incur the capital gains tax, unless you're doing 1031 or something, is not ideal to me. So if you're into real estate at all, you've probably heard of Bigger Pockets. I like to follow kind of their BRRRR method, BRRRR, buy, rehab, refinance, and rent and repeat.
Yeah, there you go. So wait, buy, rehab, refinance, repeat. Yeah, that's what it is. Okay.
So it's kind of the best of both worlds. When you flip it, you sell it, you get a nice profit if you do it right, which is really hard to do in this market, by the way. But then you're paying the capital gains tax on it, and you lose the future earning potential of that property. So what I like to do is I like to buy them, rehab them, get them rented, and eventually, in maybe a year or 2 or 3 or so, depending on how the deal goes, you'll have some equity, and so you can pull that cash out, usually 80-85%, and use it for the next one, while still getting the rental income every month.
Right. Yeah, that's the great thing about real estate. There's really nowhere else that you can go to what I like to call lever up. Like, no one's going to loan me $150,000 to go buy stocks in my Robinhood account.
You can go back to school.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, they'll let you. I would much rather take a home that's cash flowing over a liberal arts degree or whatever. I got 2 degrees and I got student loans, so I don't hate on it, but yeah, that's really the only other thing that people will loan you large sums of money for. I was having an interesting conversation. So what if I go to Bank of America and I ask them to loan me money so that I can buy Bank of America stock with it? They still won't let you. It's like, dude, I just want to buy your company. Nope, too risky.
Too risky.
But you can buy a house, so you can, you can put down $100,000 and get $500,000 worth of real estate assets. And the great thing is you don't only keep 20% of the rents, you keep 100% of the rents, even though you only put up 20% of the money. So it's real estate's a great place to be invested, especially when you're young and you have a lot of time. But I think there's a lot of people hesitant right now because they're just afraid. Like we all saw The Big Short. We know what happened last time housing prices ran up like this. So if you I mean, even if you bought like in 2007 or so, like would you have made money and you held on to now, like 15 years later, even though you went through that crash, you think you're up now?
If you weren't over leveraged and you could still pay the mortgage, then
Yeah.
you'd probably be fine now.
I think you'd be
And
doing pretty good.
I'm looking at real estate kind of the same way you look at stocks. Like it's a long term game. I'm not looking to buy and sell. I'm looking to hold on to it, and I'm looking at what the future value is going to be. You can go to your tax assessor's website in any city, and you can look at what real estate cost in the 90s and what those same homes are selling for in the 2000s and now. And the price keeps going up, partly to inflation, of course, but also the homes are appreciating. So, I've talked to a lot of investors, a lot of buyers right now, and the conversation always goes to, man, I wish I would have bought that house 10, 20 years ago. Look how cheap it was.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm saying, look, you're probably going to have the exact same conversation in the next 10 or 20 years,
Right.
looking at the prices today. So
Right.
I'm trying to buy as much real estate as possible because those prices are going to look very cheap in the near future.
People talk about Bitcoin scarcity, like they're only ever going to be 21 million of them. Well, theoretically, people could all agree to change the code and make 42 million of them. It's
We got
theoretically possible, but it is theoretically, physically impossible to create more land. Right? It's not.
Except in Hawaii,
In Dubai.
in Dubai.
The volcanoes in Hawaii are making a little bit of land, and then the crazy rich people in Dubai are artificially generating more land, but that's few and far between.
And the sea is reclaiming it.
And the sea is reclaiming it. Okay, I really appreciate it. Tyler is active in real estate all day, every day. We were in here doing some financial planning, and I convinced him to sit down and talk to you guys for a minute because it's really hard. People who are spending all their time like in their business, they don't have time to sit down and teach other people. So I hope you got some value out of this, and I hope that somebody out there goes and does their first real estate deal soon.